Do you ever feel like that you lose your confidence the moment you stand in front of people? You've practiced, you know what to say, but as it's showtime, something is holding you back, right? You get sweaty, you stutter, you fumble over your words, your voice shakes, or you start second guessing every word you have just said. Does this sound familiar to you? Well, I had it. I still have it. So I know what it feels like. But I know you're capable of more. And I know this isn't a very big problem. Only it feels like it's one. Well, I'm going to exactly show you how you can break free from this problem. Because I have stuttered my entire life to this day. And I know the struggle that is behind it. So let me show you how you can gain confidence in front of people and do not stutter or fumble over your words. And that is what I will show you in 4 points, with at the end a solution how you can counter every problem that I'm going to represent you. Now, I need to mention one thing, and that is that this will be a very quick video, because otherwise this is going to take 28 minutes. And that is something I do not want to take of your time. So I will go to this very fast. So if you want to take notes, pause it. Because I will go. But in the end, I will still hope this helps you. So let's get into point number 1. But before we do that, I have a quick recap about the last episode, which was last Wednesday. The real reason your confidence goes up and down. What does that to do with your confidence isn't stable when it depends on unpredictable factors like mood, environment, compliments? You're likely trying to have confidence like a performance, which causes emotional highs and lows. Lack of routine and habits making you feel less confident instantly. And self-talk and identity plays a major role. That were the 4 important points. Now we get into 4 problems, which I will show you how this is a problem and how this problem is created. And at the end, I will present you a solution to every one of those problems. So to start with it, you overfocus on how you're being judged. That is what I had 9 or 10 times. I stuttered, and believe me, 99 out of 100 times, it doesn't bother anyone. No one makes a joke about it. It feels normal. You know, some people do it, so people get used to it. But in your head, you're thinking, but what do they think of me? Do they think I'm dumb? What if I mess up? What if I'm doing it wrong? How will they think of me? Those were those questions I had in my mind. And I can only imagine that are the questions you're having right now. You're not even thinking what you want to say. You're only thinking of what are they going to think of me and what if. It's like every face in the room is trying to criticize you. Every pass feels like a failure. Well, that isn't. And I only overcame this when I started having confidence. But most importantly, I felt confident talking to some people. As for people from my rank or lower, I would have no problem with it. But if it was someone above me or I admire, then I will fumble over my words. It was just the pure stress. And when I had today, especially, that I just blasted every word out like it was nothing. I did not think about it. And at the moment I had the first fumble up, which was at the end of the day, it was like, whoa, I've done this. And that is the feeling I want you to get. Because this effect is backed by science and it's called the spotlight effect. And it is simply, like I said, that every face is just towards you. There's just one big spotlight from every direction aiming at you. And then you feel the pressure. And when you feel the pressure, you want to do it absolutely perfect. And then you start overcomplicate things in your mind. And then it's just at the end error. Now can you imagine this with a computer? If you do 20 tasks at the same time, at some point your computer says error. I do not compute with this. Well, that is exactly what is happening to you. Your brain just says error because it cannot process the stress and everything you're thinking of at the same moment while doing it perfectly. Now, the second thing is you try to be perfect, but not humanly. That is one of the worst traits I had, or sometimes still have, being a perfectionist. Which is just that you want to do everything perfect, but we're humans. We can make mistakes. Sometimes we cannot come up with a word, or we come up with a word, but then we have a hard time explaining it. We're human, we're not robots. And then you just putting yourself this into an invisible pressure point. And it's like you want to speak like TED Talk professionals, but you're not trained for that. You've not developed for that. You've not learned everything in and out. No, it's just that the expectations that that you want to reach are just crossing you down. You want to reach this, but it's not possible if you're only capable of doing this. And there's no problem with that. Understand that. There is no problem with being a little worse at something, especially if you've not trained for. You feel like a total failure. You're trying so hard to avoid embarrassment that eventually it will happen. And that is also backed by science, with every point I say is backed by a scientific study to make it as proven as possible for you that you know this is not bullshit. Because that is what I hated. I went looking for solutions, but in the end I was just presented with pure bullshit. And it's one thing I live by. That is a quote from my grandparents. And it goes like, now I need to translate it into English. What you do not want to happen towards you, just towards yourself, do not do it by another person. So if I do not want to get punched by, I should not punch someone else. That's the simple explanation. But research shows that perfectionists experience more anxiety when speaking in public, especially if they fear being negatively judged. This creates hypervigilance, where any tiny mistakes feel like massive pressure on your shoulder. And that is one thing I will help you with at the end of this video. Now to get into point number 3, which is a very quick one, but it is an important one. You replay past feelings in your head. And this is the one I was talking about a few minutes ago. It was just that after every failure, I will just repeat it. Certain situations that this will happen, that they will laugh at me back then. They will judge me or any way possible. But it did not happen. And then are some things I just replayed. I just went from thinking nothing wrong to thinking what is the absolute worst that can happen. And that is what happened, no matter what. It's just talking yourself down. And that is just, you still remember the time you messed up. You still remember that you fumbled. You still remember that you stuttered. But if you just keep replaying that in your mind, this will just happen. And that is the emotional conditioning and negative bias. Your brain remembers emotionally charged events. Happiness, sadness, angry, depression, feeling bad, love. That are things that your mind will always remember. That is a certain hard drive that is programmed for that to store that. Seeing someone being absolutely happy, that is something you will remember. Or those times when first time at your work, your first job, you will always remember it. Because it brings so much emotionally things into it that is so charged with emotion that you will remember it. And that is the same what's happening with the bias. And why it's called negatively, because you're talking to yourself negatively. It's not something upwards. No, it's just something going downwards. Now, the fourth things, you do not believe the words carry value. Deep down, you think, who am I to speak up? You downplay your value, you shrink, you second guess, and confidence stays out of reach. This is a problem I did not have. Most times. I was just, what will I gain if I do that? I was more consequently looking at than doing that. But this is a problem I have heard many people talk about. And I can understand it. Some people said to me, can you imagine how it feels? That you feel like you're not valued enough to speak up. That I said, well, now you've given me a situation, so yeah, I can understand it, but no way I can feel it that way. And that is just, it's a so rare thing to do. But yet it's so commonly. And that is just to do with the imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome makes you feel like a fraud. Even when you're qualified, studies show it disproportionately affects people in high pressure or unfamiliar situations, which is exactly what public speaking often feels like. And that is just that you know you're qualified. It's same as giving a presentation in front of an important meeting. You know you're qualified, but still it feels like that you're just way down. It is just a miracle that happened that you're there. And when she presented it to me, I can understand why this is one of the biggest things that is holding you back. And now, luckily for that, I'm at the solution part. Now, and there's a solution for the first point, which was you're over-focused on how you're being judged. Well, the solution just is shift your attention outwards. Focus your message not on yourself, but focus your message on what do they need to hear. This reorientates your brain from self-consciousness to purpose, reducing anxiety. And that is what I said, that what is the consequence and what will I gain or someone gain with this? And that's why I did not have this problem in particularly as much. But it was something I had. And it's just that you do not want to downward pressure yourself. And it's a hard thing to undo. It's not something you do with a snap of your fingers. But this what you want to do is, instead of thinking, like I said, from self-consciousness to purpose. But to do that, you need to remember it. So therefore I have a little tip. Write it down. The solution to the point you're experiencing. If it is one of those four, if it is all of them. Write down the solution and repeat it every time you go to bed and you wake up. And when you encounter that situation, after a few times your brain will remember, but if I say it, is it self-consciousness or is it purpose? And then you can go forward from that. When you're able to think at that moment, that is already the biggest step in the right direction you could ever make. Now, and as for the second point, which may sound very stupid, the solution I'm about to present you, but make small mistakes. You are a human. Or in other words, accept that you make mistakes. That is when I accept it. I'm not perfect. That whole feeling of being perfect went away. It was so life-changing, actually, that just from going, I need to be perfect. No, it's, I'm a human. I'm allowed to make mistakes. Only I need to learn from them. That was the biggest point I attached it to it. And then it felt good. If I did not attach it, probably I would have been back at where I was. It's the same with this. Before I went filming this video, I've got a comment on my latest video, which is, I like your speeches, but I think you should get a microphone for some clear audio. What you say is very valuable, but makes it harder to listen with the audio. For me, it is, I made a mistake in something, and now I want to fix it. And that is a mindset you need to get. That making mistakes is not wrong. If you admit you made a mistake, people will gain far more than being perfect. You are human. Of course, you want to narrow it down as possible, but still, if you make a small mistake or a big mistake, just look to yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a human too. I'm allowed to make mistakes. And if people call out on that it is wrong and everything, just say, I'm a human. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And now we're going to fix it. And that is proven by exposure therapy. Facing small fears in controlled ways retains the brain to stop triggering anxiety. That's for the third thing. Instead of replaying past failures in your head, reframe the memory. So instead of I failed, try it like that was a training session. And that is just exactly what I said with be allowed to make mistakes. I am allowed to make mistakes, but I want to learn from it. Alright, I failed. But how can I make sure this does not happen? You can stay at the problem part, but that is not going to get you anywhere. That is an advice I got from a businessman last Sunday. Now we're at Thursday. That's advice I got. Look for a solution, not for the problem. And now the fourth thing, you do not believe your words carry value. Practice proof stacking. Write down 3 times someone listened to you or said, that helped. Review before you speak. You're not guessing your value, you're remembering it. And that is a proven theory by self-affirmation theory. Recalling evidence of past success boosts confidence and combats imposter syndrome. So, in very simple words, when you do that, did you look back at past successes? Then you know what's doing good, then you know what to do, and that is what gives you a push in the right direction, a boost that lets you fly into the right direction, and that makes that imposter syndrome go away. Now that was this whole video. So in about 20 minutes, I've talked about this whole topic, and I know this is a lot. Just rewatch it then. Write down, pause it, and go very slowly. I know what it feels like. I know I've experienced only not the fourth point personally, but I know what happens, how you feel, and how it can be solved. Only the biggest thing you need to accept that you're allowed to make mistakes, but only if you learn from it. Now, as for the next video, because this was episode 4 of 7, for the next one, everyone knows how to bounce back after setback. In the next video, we're diving into a powerful way to rebuild your confidence after failure or rejection. Trust me, you do not want to miss this one. It's exactly what you need to turn your losses into the greatest comeback. So if you want to keep this momentum going, please like and subscribe, and I see you in 2 weeks' time.